What's up, world? What's up, Facebook? What's up, Twitter? We are kind of far away, so I'd say protect your voice a little bit. But hey, we've been trying to set this up for a long time, and I want to thank everybody who's watching right now. This is officially the #1 episode of You've Gotta Meet My Friends. We are here in the beautiful South Lake Tahoe at Tahoe Tattoo with the one and only Bobby Real. Say what's up, Bobby.
What's up, Bobby?
She does that every time, literally every time. So anyways, just to start off and explain why I decided to do these videos, in case you guys don't know, if you have or haven't been following me, I decided to make 2017 my year of giving back. I'm a huge follower of guys like Tony Robbins and Jim Rohn, and they all explain that to get what you want, if you help enough people get what they want, you will get what you want. And I figured, what's the best thing to give? Not just money, right? We've talked about this. Anybody can give you a fucking dollar, right? Anybody can give money. Not that, money doesn't help people, but I think there's more that you can give. I think the most valuable thing you can give people is your fucking time. So with what I've developed with my small captive audience through these social media platforms, what a great way to not only reach out to people like you guys that might be in some mindset of thinking about starting your own business or going out and implementing some kind of service or going into some untraditional form of making money, like tattooing or some craft, piercing, whatever. When I interview these people, my goal is to help you guys understand that all it takes is a decision. It's not just certain people that make these things happen, it's the people that are just willing to go out there and do the fucking work, right? And even more so, what more value can I give to my friends and people that I've known, that I've met throughout the years, that are out there building their businesses and busting their asses to help you guys understand there's people like this that can do amazing things for you. Now, for me to kind of quickly explain, how I met Bobby, he's gonna kick my butt, bad habit, how I met Bobby. He actually opened up a tattoo shop a while back, right next to my parents' house. Through friends of friends, I kind of hung out while you guys were in the building process.
That's right.
Had an amazing ceiling. The ceiling was insane.
It was pretty badass. Yeah.
The ceiling was rad. And we became friends from that. And I gotta be honest, some weird things happen between friends. And here's what's cool. And I'm gonna say this before I tell this story. Why I like this guy so much is because this is one of the most humble human beings I've ever met in my life. This guy has been through all sorts of ups and downs. His story is literally powerful and moving. And when this stuff went down with this shop, I'm not gonna lie, I told you this, I was on the shit talking boat because I was listening to a bunch of idiots tell me things that I knew nothing about.
Bandwagoner.
Exactly, absolutely. I'll admit the shit where I was wrong, right? I have a problem with that. And funny thing was, I hadn't seen him almost 3 years, and I ran into you at a birthday party.
Right.
And I'm going, he's a big freaking guy, right? And I'm like, oh shit, here we go. And you literally walked up to me and said, hey man, how you been? And you were super cool, and there was no ego involved, there wasn't. And I was just up front, I was like, look man, I said some things that I didn't know, but I don't even talk to those people anymore. They're not in my life. Yeah. And I apologize, right?
Okay, man. That's how we do.
Yeah. And ever since then, we've been super cool. On top of that, before we get into the stories, I want you to plug your business a little bit. Let me tell you my experience and what I know of this guy. He's blasted my chest. And I say a lot of tattoo artists, care about their artwork. But I'll tell you this. There isn't very many people that I know of that care about not only just their artwork, but their customers and the people they're tattooing as much as this guy does. Seriously. Literally, you may be covered in tattoos, but when you're walking out the door, he's going to spend 15 minutes with you explaining what the correct healing process is of that tattoo, because he cares about you. He doesn't want you getting staph. He doesn't want you getting infections. And he wants your artwork to look good if you spent money on it, and I believe you care about your customer.
Absolutely.
Right? So go ahead and plug. Where are we at? Plug it in, man. Do your plug.
We're in beautiful South Lake Tahoe. We're on the casino strip, immediately across the street from Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, just above CBS. You can't get a better view here, and maybe with a little luck, we'll have Nick do a pan out the window and give all of you an idea of just where we sit. But you got the best seat in the house. You get to look at the snow coming down, and you got the lights and the glitz and all the people. So it's the best of both worlds, and the shop is just beautiful. Myself and Mickey, the owner, have spent a great deal of time turning it into just
Great fucking vibe.
Just a beautiful place, clean, friendly, tons of art constantly being circulated in and out of here, and then quality staff, and you get the whole experience. So,
How do they contact you?
They contact us through TahoeTattoo.com. You can get a hold of us through TahoeTattoo775@gmail.com, or just look us up. Yelp, Google, Carrier Pigeon. You'll find us if you want to find us bad enough.
Awesome. Bobby Real, Tahoe Tattoo. So, okay, this is something that, I kind of want to start where I met you, because that to me is where I've learned your story, right?
Cool.
So when you guys are looking at this stuff, you've seen my videos, I completely 100% believe that whether you're sitting and dwelling on an idea or a concept or something you want to go out and implement, it takes a decision. There's one point where you made a single decision. It's not this months long thinking about it, but one day you went, fuck it, I'm doing this. This is what we're gonna do. Seriously.
Exactly.
And it's not this big, long, drawn out process. You just fucking decided and you went. And I'm always curious, do you remember that moment? Do you know what that was?
Oh yeah, very much. I mean, I've been in the telecom industry since the early '90s, and went through, I went up the ladder. I worked my ass off as an installer, and eventually became a designer and then project manager, and had a ball doing it. But then when the .bomb hit, all of our customers dried up. Everything was about the bottom line and not about customer service.
Yeah.
Just like the thing that we advocate here so much. And
I think it's coming back though.
yeah, I do. I really believe that, and I'm glad, because people like us will preach that and practice it, and it's circular, I think. But ultimately, I just I had it. All those relationships that I worked really hard to build they didn't mean anything anymore. It was just about the bottom line, and I'd always had art in me, and doing the same thing day in and day out, like most of us do with our life, we're unfulfilled. And I think in a lot of ways we feel like we're trapped in that, like we don't have a choice, but you do. And I think like you pointed out in the beginning of this, you make a decision and then you commit to it, and then you fucking grind every day to get there.
Absolutely.
And that's it, decide, commit, grind. And I really feel like that's kind of been my mantra this whole time. And it took me time to get there, man. I mean, honestly, to kind of flash back, I was trying to get into an apprenticeship back as early as, and I'm going to date myself right now, but the late 80s. I started getting tattooed in 80s.
We ain't no spring pigeons.
Yeah, I know, man. But I started getting tattooed in the late 80s, and from the moment I got one, I was just like, at that point, I'd already been painting and drawing. Both my parents were artists.
Oh yeah, phenomenal painter too. Shit, I didn't even bring that dude.
Thank you, man. I
You
appreciate
kill
that
it.
very much.
This guy has amazing paintings.
But that's all comes from my parents, man. I that was plugged into me, and I do what I can to try to honor them by doing my best to keep up with that. But ultimately, I had art in me, but also that technical side, and the technical side really benefited me from a work standpoint, but my soul wasn't being fed. And so I think when I started to see the writing on the wall with the industry and the way that it was going, I needed to make a decision. You know, like we just talked about. Let's make a decision on what we're going to do with our life. And granted, those decisions, you make them in a single instance, but they take time to build to get where you want to be. And I think that's what we're going to talk about today too.
Absolutely. And that's what, I look, if you guys are sitting on something, let me tell you this. You hear me say this all the time. Time is the most valuable thing you have. It's the one thing you can't get back. Look, you guys can make money, you can lose money, you can make money again, but you can never get your time back. And here's the reality. If you're sitting on a fucking idea, or you're sitting on a product, or you're sitting on whatever, you're wasting fucking time. You're wasting time. And I hate to quote somebody right now, but I'm going to quote Gary Vee. You are going to fucking die. All of you. You're going to one day. And the biggest thing you're going to see throughout people's lives, and I challenge you, go sit in an old folks home and ask them what's the biggest thing that bugs them. It's nothing. It's not about what they did do or what they may regret of mistakes they made. It's what they didn't do. Regret kills people. Just don't waste your time.
Absolutely.
So,
and that's what I didn't want to do. I didn't want to look back on this time and regret. I felt my heart and my soul needing to be fed, and I could have stayed and did the same grind and just collected a check. Yeah, but that's like death, right? Get fat in a cubicle and
there's no growth,
retire
there's no
with
purpose.
a shitty 401k. No. So at that point, I made a decision. I'd been out on a vacation with my wife at the time in Hawaii, I met a gentleman after a short dive trip. Met each other we're in Kihei, big biker guy staring across from me. We're both watching this guy just do what he loves to do, chip away on a fucking tiki mask, and we're just like enthralled with this, you know, because it's art. And well, one thing led to another. I met Sean Dolly, and we became good friends. He owned the Electric Pencil up here in South Lake Tahoe. He did for the last 20 years. And we just became friends, and he started getting tattooed by him, and he heard me bitching about my job all the time, and you know, he just said, hey, listen, why don't you let me teach you? Why don't you take an apprenticeship? Why don't you grab your balls, make a decision, and do art? And so I did. You know, I had some money. I cashed out my 401k. I put that money aside so that I could live for the next couple of years, and I took a 2.5-year apprenticeship here in South Lake Tahoe, and made a commitment. Now, I don't want to sugarcoat this thing. It's work. I went from 6 figures to no money, and then in the meantime had to go back to that. You know, I went back to the telecom industry.
It's not an uncommon story, though.
No, you do. But you know what? I was a step in the right direction, and I made a decision to do what was going to get me to where I wanted to be, and that was part of it. That was the first moving a boot forward, and we did that. So 2.5 years later, got back on with telecom. It's just doing project managing part-time. Purchased a building in Carmichael. That's what inner Shep, aka Nick, and you know, it was just the rest of you saw what happened.
Yeah.
I was doing double duty in nighttime. I was doing takeoffs and design work so that I could pay the bills and put money into this business. Like, we sold our home, sold all of our toys and all that stuff, and we built a business, which became Cartel Inkworks in Carmichael.
Which did really well.
Yeah, it was a great shop, but you know what, again, it was commitment, and I did double duty. A lot of people don't know this, and maybe you don't even know this, but 3 years. I would go into the shop, I'd work all day at the studio, 10, 12 hours, and then I'd go home and I would work for another 5 or 6 hours on design projects.
No, I had no idea.
You know, and it was a lot of work, but again, my eye was on the prize and I knew where I was headed. You needed to sacrifice and make sure that you could do everything you needed to do to stay alive, but at the same time keep your eye on your dream, and then that's really what it amounted to.
And I think, listen to what he's saying, guys. I think there's so many people out there right now that want something and have drive, but they want it way too goddamn fast. You don't understand, like, it. No matter what you want or what you want to do, it's gonna take sacrifice. It's gonna take. I know so many people. Dude, I was in the MLM game, still am. You know, and I talked to so many people who are like, oh, well, I don't have time to build a business. I was like, but you have time to sit around and bitch about how much you hate your life.
Right.
It's not going to just happen overnight. You understand, businesses are built on the wee hours. When you work your 9 to 5, you come home, you kiss the dog, and you go to fucking work, right? That's how it happens, man. So this is what I want people to like, because you got fucked.
Oh, yeah.
You got fucked.
Yeah.
Tell me what happened with the shop.
Well,
as brief as you can, I guess.
The short version is that Carmichael is one of like the last GC or general commercial zoned areas in the Sacramento area, and that was kind of the tough part in the beginning. To kind of just do a flashback, I spent about 2.5 months in the Sacramento planning office trying to find a zoned area to even open the business. We had all the conceptuals together. I had been drawing for months and months with the idea of what Cartel would embody, but you got to have a home for it. And finally started schmoozing up. I'll just put this out there. The people at Sacramento County Planning can be a little dry, but you start bringing them donuts and coffee and orange juice, and they start helping you. So I recommend that if you want to get somewhere, empower others to help you get there too. But ultimately, we found a building, and it literally was like the next neighborhood over from where we lived. We jumped on it, bought the building, and now flash forward, well over a decade, and we were grandfathered into this area. And what's going on in that area even till today is called the Sacramento Beautification Project, or rather the Carmichael Beautification Project, where they're going to strip out all the old businesses. And mind you, these are mom and pop shops that have been there for decades. Small businesses we know are being just pushed aside to make room for corporate America, and it's bullshit.
Yeah.
So they imposed a CUP. That means a conditional uses permit. The basis of that is that you pay $5,000 to sit in front of the people of the board on the Carmichael committee there, and you plead your case on why
Pitch your business.
Yeah, you pitch your business, but you've already had there. Most of these people have been there for, like I said, decades.
Yeah.
Well, 2 years in a row, 5 businesses were put on the block. They kept doing this. 10 businesses in 2 years were denied their cut. Now, mind you, that $5,000 is non-refundable.
No, it's
It's just like
bullshit.
it's just a money gathering. So they just they made so much money on this shell game. Our attorneys contacted us in 2012, and they said your name's on the list. And at that point, I kind of read the writing on the wall. At that point in my life, I'm not gonna get too much into this, but my marriage was on the rocks. I'm just gonna point this out too. Combining business and your personal life a lot of times can be a detriment. And I caution you that you go into it with eyes wide open, and you leave business at business, and you leave home at home, and never those two should come in contact with each other. But I had that kind of chaos kind of going on in my life, and then the prospect of losing the place where we had spent so long building this giant,
Absolutely.
that I made the decision to close Cartel and not have them just gobble up $5,000 of our dollars for the sake of just sitting in front of them and being insulted. So that came to an end, and that was definitely a huge low in my life. I think having your dreams stripped away from you, it's nothing like, it's like losing a kid. I feel almost like it's like that was my baby,
Totally imagine.
And then they just pull the rug out from under you. But you know what? With every loss in life, there's also gains. With death becomes rebirth, and it took me a little while. I had to I got into my pity party, and I did. Man.
We all do, man.
We all do. But I got into my pity party, and I turned that around and turned it into drive. So
good. So let's okay. Because here's why I asked him to bring that up. Because you've got to understand there are ups and downs in everything. Life is never always on an even keel. I know for a fact where I learned about myself, I don't ever want to arrive. I love the grind. I'm not this guy going, God, I wish I could just go sit on the beach and drink pina coladas all day. I used to think that way.
Right.
And I used to be very miserable.
That's a pipe dream.
Right?
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, with what I'm working towards, I plan on being very successful. But my point is, I started finding out what I like, and that's the grind. So I want to be able to understand that there is ups and downs, and you've been through some of the worst shit.
Yeah.
And I understand that. But let's talk about some of the shit you have accomplished, right? Because this guy's done some amazing things. So when I first met you, don't take this the wrong way.
Please come on, bring it.
Please don't punch me. You weren't the fittest person on
No, I was a fat fuck, yeah.
And then what did you do?
Man, honestly, I continued being a fat fuck for quite a few years, actually. That's what I did. I went from, and I'll explain this, listen, I went from the field into the office in telecom. You sit behind a desk every day, you're eating anything and everything that's in the office. It's really easy to get in that rut of just being, it's like Groundhog's Day. You go to work, grab your cup of coffee, there's
donut.
a donut, and sooner or later, you're 8 years into donuts and coffee. How do you think your body's gonna look? So
like donuts and coffee.
So then I get a job where I'm gonna go and sit for X amount of hours a day tattooing, and it really didn't kind of work in. But I'll tell you something. I think when I got the news, there was like a switch that went on me, and when I got the news about the building and the permitting and stuff, I was just like, I needed an avenue to let out or get rid of the negative energy and put some positive energy back into me. And as luck would have it, I met a gentleman named Big John Biggs. He is
Big John Biggs.
He's an NPC competitor, just a great guy, huger heart. If that's even a word, huger. And he just made it a word. But
hashtag that shit.
Yeah, he saw me, and it was just so ironic. Like literally 24 hours before, I was like, God, I gotta get myself right. And he really stepped in and made that happen for me. And I dove into fitness through the help of Bean Hera at Urban Flex Fitness there in Carmichael, another amazing place to visit. And
I gotta chime in.
Yeah, come on, man, bring it.
So you gotta I was at about this point where he really started getting serious about the bodybuilding. You'd been kind of dormant on social media. You hadn't really been on.
Yeah.
And I'm literally in Dallas, Texas. I was training to be a flight attendant for American Airlines, and all of a sudden this picture pops up of Bobby on my Facebook, and this dude is not only huge, but ripped. Like you were flexing your calves out in the parking lot, and I was like, Jesus Christ, the dude did it. Like you did it.
But with help, man, I got to tell you, and I think that's a big lesson to learn here is that, you know, no man is an island, no woman is an island. The idea is that if you want to do things, empower the people around you to help you and help them, and it becomes a symbiotic relationship. And I did it. You know, I did it with a lot of help from others and support from others. And but ultimately, at the end of the day, I was the master of my own destiny there, and I got into it, man, and
Absolutely,
lost what 48 pounds. Then I started looking at the bigger things and got really involved with bodybuilding, and then started competing. Yeah. First competition, walked away with a couple of trophies. You know, felt pretty good, and it definitely. I think the thing that I can probably cater, or that I can credit the most to that, is the idea that it gave me a solid mindset to do whatever I wanted to do. That positivity. I could have sat behind a bottle of Jack for the next couple of years and felt sorry for myself for the idea that my business was taken away from me. But I turned that around and flipped the script, and a lot of things changed at that time, and my mindset changed. So
that's cool, man. That's cool. And that's why I wanted to do this with you, man. And I watched all this, like, you know, just
right.
Be in my little ass going, Jesus, Bob's just doing some things. Bobby, just hit me, dude.
You got one more. It's okay.
I got one more. I'm third strike. He's gonna smack the shit out of me.
Oh man.
So let's talk about this. So you wound up back here in Tahoe, where you started your apprentice, not at this shop, but in this area.
Yeah.
Right? So you just kind of made this circle, and you're.
No, you know what? At the time, again, like flashing back, kind of the irony of it was that I was grabbing the bull by the horns. I got into bodybuilding at that point. Just got through a really wicked divorce, and as luck would have it, I found my way back into music. And
that's right, you toured again.
Yeah.
Now I forgot. There's been in bands and shit too.
It was luck. Yeah, it was luck. And Sacramento music scene has been really good to me. And just happened to run into some guys that I had known for a lot of years in other bands, and they offered me the gig. And literally 2 months later, we're on the road touring, and so
totally forgot.
You know, so now I'm training. You can imagine like how awkward that would be. You know, you're on a tour bus with your fucking kettlebells and your protein shakes, which I got tons of shit for, by the way.
Dude,
and,
I was one of.
You know what I'm saying?
I was one of the fittest guys in my band,
right.
And they were like, "Oh, you're gonna fucking weight lift? Oh, Shep, eat some carbs." I'm like, dude, I remember. Okay, not trying to step on your story, but I remember one time where we're getting ready to go summer tour, and we just started, and I was like. Cutting carbs, cutting sugar, meal prepping, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And when you cut carbs, if you've never really done it, you're an asshole. That's straight up, you're an asshole. Imagine someone quitting smoking, it's almost the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I come in and we had this big whiteboard on the kitchen counter of the RV we were touring in for like, you know, van times and show times, things like that.
Yeah.
And I walk in from going out working out one day, and it literally, a big bold print said, "Shep, eat more carbs, you're an asshole." And I'm like, all right.
Right, so you know.
I know.
It's work, but again, the eyes on the prize, and you want to make it happen. And
yeah.
So that's what ended up happening, man. I got a really good opportunity with some great guys, and got back out on the road. Bringing that up is what got me up here. There was the first tattoo show thrown here in South Lake Tahoe was thrown by Tahoe Tattoo. And as luck would have it, I met an amazing woman that owned that studio at the time and still does.
Hi, Mickey.
Mickey, right over there. And and it just, we had a lot of things in common, and the business ownership and all that. And I was looking, whether I knew it or not, I was actually looking for a way away from Sacramento. And not to get religious and stuff, but I'll just say that God provides, man. He puts it out there for you. And you got to keep your eyes open up, big enough to be able to recognize that there's opportunity. And,
totally agree with that.
You know, 100%. Both on a personal and a business level, and it just made sense. And you know, here we are. You know, 3 years later, amazing studio.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. It literally is gorgeous, guys. The vibe in here is really rad. Especially if you're new to being tattooed, like seriously.
Yeah.
I know. It's. I've been in tattoo shops since I was 17 years old. I'm 33 now, but I understand. You know, it's a little intimidating. You know, the whole ideas and concepts and politics or ideas around tattooing.
Right.
To walk into
stigma,
to walk. I don't want anybody to like be weird, but no, like you come in here, the vibe is good. If you've never had a tattoo before, it's chill, man. It's comfortable.
Yeah, we try to lead with that anti-shop kind of feeling, and but I think a lot of people are stepping into that too. That it is a it is very customer interactive. Back when I was getting tattooed in the 80s, it was like this, it was taboo and all that. And honestly, I kind of miss some of that. But today it's nice though, that, people from like soccer moms to doctors, lawyers to, rockabilly kids, everybody feels welcome here. And that's really our mantra,
So, well, that's, and I like the reason why I did this with Bobby is because I watched a lot of this. I was, talking to you when you were going through the bullshit with the shop and when the marriage was, you were having issues. And I saw this, man, and I've watched him just do this and pick himself out of the shit, and it's super inspiring, and that's why that's really, like, it was really important for me, 'cause I remember when I just even brought this up to you on the phone, you were like, I never really thought about it like that. And most people don't,
Right.
It was most people like you, especially. It's people that are humble like you don't look at their stories like, oh, I've done some amazing fucking things,
No.
But even for you, I hope you do recognize that.
It makes me think about it, yeah. And I appreciate you bringing it up. But again, I think humility is probably one of the biggest things to success as well. Is if there's one piece of advice that I can give is keep your head down, do your work, treat others how you would want to be treated, and even sometimes better. And just do the work, man. I mean, looking back, we talked about time frame. Looking back, it seems like it was just yesterday that we were opening the doors of Cartel, and when my tattoo career began, and now I'm here and just feel.
I've watched that progress too. I've watched your work just get insane, man.
Thank you, man.
And
I appreciate that very much.
Seriously.
Yeah, but if that's what I'm trying to say is that if the message behind this is anything, it's to decide what you're going to do, commit to doing it, and then grind every day at doing
Consistency,
it.
persistent consistency.
Yeah, and don't allow others to just be the voice to where you value your success. Continue that drive in your heart and in your mind to continue to strive to be better, because
Absolutely.
if there's a day that you feel like you're not learning something, you're probably not paying attention. And I think that's really what I try to do is keep my eyes wide open and stay driven.
Absolutely. So, and I spoke to you a little bit briefly about this before we started the interview, but I like to finish up with this. I think it's super cliche and vanilla and lame to ask, what's the one piece of advice you would give somebody? But what I am more interested in, and what I would like to give you guys as value is, here's the deal. When you get to his stage at where he is with tattooing and this whole art stuff, you're technically, in my mind, you're a mentor. And what I've learned about mentorship is when you have a mentor, you're getting wisdom without waiting. And if there's one thing that I would hope to give you guys is a way to speed up your progress, because I understand waiting around for shit sucks. So when you get into these things, when you start doing whatever it is, this different way, this non-9 to 5, you get hung up on so much shit, right?
It's easy.
So what is one thing that you could give to the people out there that you got hung up on, wasted a lot of time on, that you wish someone would just be like, don't fucking waste your time on that, focus on this?
Right.
Do you have one thing like that?
Yeah, I think I'm going to make it relative to what we do here, tattoos.
Absolutely.
I think the thing that I got hung up on was just hurrying up and trying to find someone, not the one, to teach you. And I had asked for a dozen apprenticeships between all kinds of shops between Alaska and California. And to be honest with you, it was just trying to find the first person to say yes. And if there's one thing I can say is do your homework. The power of the internet and all of that now, whereas before even I was kind of into doing this, where I didn't have that opportunity, it affords you the opportunity to find a mentor, find somebody that you totally admire their work, go in and get tattooed by them. If you're trying to get into this industry, you need to create your portfolio, draw, paint, do everything you can do, and then bring that in and meet with the person that you want to have mentor you. Give
That's
them,
good.
take all of that and show them that you're worthy of their time. Don't just show up and say, hey, I can paint, I can draw. Actions speak louder than words. So combine that information, set time to go, get a tattoo by them. That's going to open up a rapport, and more
Building a
importantly,
relationship. Yeah, absolutely.
and equally as important, it's going to tell you if the guy's or girl's an asshole. Their work may be incredible, but if you go and spend all this time and then they're just a tool, it's going to save you a lot of time.
Absolutely.
But do the work, draw, paint, keep your hands moving in the direction that you want to go, and don't ever give up on the idea of what you're doing just because you're not getting the answers that you feel like you should be getting from the beginning.
Yeah.
I had a dozen no's before I got the right yes, and I think that's really the thing to keep in mind here is don't give up.
Awesome. Yeah.
Don't give up. Grind.
I love it, man. Well, hey, here's the deal. You know, I want to plug the shop and Bobby one more time. Bobby Real at Tahoe Tattoos, TahoeTattoos.com, correct?
It's just TahoeTattoo.com.
TahoeTattoo.com.
Yeah, or you can go to my website at BobbyReal.com.
Awesome. Well, hey guys, I thank you so much for those of you that watched and stayed on through the whole episode. I'm going to be doing a whole series of these. The first couple are going to be live, and the rest are going to be jumping to my YouTube channel. I'm probably launching about once a week. I'm going to be getting that information out to you guys here in a little bit. But I just, again, I think one of the biggest issues that people have when they have an idea like this is just they don't start. And I figured, fuck it, I'm not going to waste time. I'm not going to worry about strategizing it, but I'm just going to get it out there. So that's why I chose to do this live. And Bobby, thank you so much, man.
My pleasure.
Bobby, thank you so much.
You,
absolute pleasure. And then now I get to hang out with this guy for the rest of the day and night because we're here for the night.
That's right.
So, all right, guys, enjoy the rest of your Monday. If you're working, if you're grinding, go fucking crush it, all right? I'll see you next time. Peace.
Grind.